Welcome to Yourmitra for spiritual wisdom and inspiration.
What if one small daily action could transform your entire life? John had always been the type of guy with big dreams. He wanted to write a book, get in shape, and become successful in his career. But no matter how many times he set out to achieve something, it felt like he was always stuck at the starting line. He would get excited, make a plan, dive in head first, and for a week or two, everything would go well. Then, just as quickly as he started, he would lose motivation. The excitement would fade, and before he knew it, he was back to square one. Feeling frustrated and defeated, John was tired of this cycle, but he didn't know how to break it. One Tuesday morning, as John sat at his desk, staring at a list of half-finished tasks, a thought hit him. "Why can't I stay consistent?" he muttered to himself. It wasn't that he didn't have the willpower. He had plenty of that in the beginning, but somehow, it just didn't last. John had tried everything. Setting goals, creating schedules, even watching motivational videos, but nothing seemed to work long-term. That morning, something inside him shifted. John realized that maybe he was thinking about things all wrong. Instead of focusing on big goals and massive changes, what if he started small? Really small? What if he did something so easy that it would be impossible to fail? John decided to try an experiment. He chose the smallest task he could think of, 5 push-ups a day. That's it. No intense workout routine, no overwhelming plan, just 5 push-ups every single day. At first, the idea seemed almost too simple, but that was exactly the point. John wasn't aiming to get ripped overnight. He wasn't focused on immediate results. He was focused on showing up. He told himself, "It doesn't matter how small the action is, as long as I do it every day." The first few days were easy. John would wake up, roll out of bed, and do his 5 push-ups before breakfast. It didn't take much time, and it didn't feel like a big deal, but that was the beauty of it. John wasn't putting any pressure on himself to accomplish something huge. He was just sticking to the promise he made. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel overwhelmed by the end of the first week. John felt proud of himself. It wasn't because he was seeing major changes in his body. 5 push-ups a day wasn't going to transform him physically, but because he was keeping a commitment. It wasn't about the push-ups. It was about proving to himself that he could be consistent. However, on day 8, things got harder. John woke up feeling tired and unmotivated. What's the point, he thought. It's just 5 push-ups missing one day. It won't matter. For a moment, he almost gave up. But then he remembered something important. It wasn't about the push-ups. It was about the habit. It was about building trust in himself. Skipping one day might not seem like a big deal, but it would break the consistency he was trying so hard to build. With that thought in mind, John pushed himself out of bed and did his 5 push-ups. They felt harder than usual, but afterward, he felt a surge of pride. It wasn't because of the physical act, but because he had proven to himself that he could stick with something even when he didn't feel like it. That was the moment when John truly understood the power of consistency. From that point on, John's mindset began to shift. He realized that consistency wasn't about doing a lot all at once. It was about showing up day after day, no matter how small the action. Over the next few weeks, John continued his 5 push-ups every day, and before long, 5 push-ups turned into 10, became 15. But it wasn't just his physical strength that was growing. John's mental resilience was growing too. As John's confidence in his ability to be consistent increased, he decided to apply the same principle to something he had always wanted to do: write a book. In the past, he would start writing with big ambitions, planning to write thousands of words in one sitting. But just like with his other goals, the excitement would wear off and he would give up. This time, John approached writing differently. He told himself, "I'm going to write just 100 words a day. No more, no less." It felt like a tiny, almost insignificant amount. But John wasn't worried about writing a masterpiece overnight. He wasn't even worried about the end result. He was focused on the habit on showing up every day. Just like with his push-ups at first, 100 words a day didn't feel like much. John would sit down, write for a few minutes, and then move on with his day. But just like with his fitness routine, the magic wasn't in the amount he wrote each day. It was in the fact that he was doing it every single day. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and before John knew it, he had written half of his book. It wasn't just the push-ups or the writing that were changing. John's entire outlook on life was shifting. He began to see that the key to achieving any goal wasn't in big bursts of effort. It wasn't in waiting for motivation to strike. It was in the quiet, consistent actions taken every single day. As John's habits grew stronger, so did his confidence. He started to trust himself in a way he hadn't before. In the past, he had always doubted his ability to follow through, but now he had proven to himself that he could be consistent. He didn't need to rely on motivation or willpower. He had built a habit that was so simple, so automatic, that it became a part of his daily life. John's friends began to notice the changes in him. "How are you so disciplined?" they would ask, amazed by his new routine. But John didn't see himself as disciplined. In his mind, discipline was about forcing yourself to do things you didn't want to do. What John had learned was, he had learned that consistency wasn't about pushing yourself to the limit every day. It was about making the task so small, so easy, impossible not to do it. Over time, the small daily actions John was taking began to build momentum. His push-up routine expanded into a full workout. His 100-word-a-day writing habit grew into entire chapters. His career began to flourish as he applied the same principle to his work, focusing on completing small, manageable tasks every day. Instead of overwhelming himself with huge projects, John's life was changing in ways he hadn't anticipated. But the biggest change wasn't in his body, his book, or his career. The biggest change was in his mindset. John no longer felt like he was stuck in the cycle of starting and stopping. He no longer felt overwhelmed by his goals. He had learned that the key to success wasn't about doing more, it was about doing something, no matter how small, every single day. 1 year later, John looked back on his journey with a sense of pride and accomplishment. He had written his book, got him in the best shape of his life, and built a career he was proud of. But the real victory wasn't in the goals he had achieved. It was in the person he had become. John realized that the true power of consistency wasn't in the results. It was in the process. It was in showing up every day, even when it felt like nothing was happening. It was in the small, seemingly insignificant actions that added up over time. Consistency, John realized, wasn't glamorous. It wasn't about big breakthroughs or dramatic transformations overnight. It was about quiet, steady progress. Looking back, John could see how much he had grown, not just physically or professionally, but mentally and emotionally. He had become someone who trusted himself, someone who believed in his ability to follow through, and that belief, more than anything else, was what changed his life. People often ask John what his secret is. They expect him to give them some complex formula or magical trick, but his answer is always the same. Start small. Start so small that it feels like nothing, and then just keep showing up. John's journey wasn't about quick fixes or shortcuts. It was about building a habit of consistency, and that habit, more than anything else, had transformed his. It wasn't about push-ups or writing or work. It was about showing up for himself every single day. That, John realized, was the real secret to success. Thank you for watching. Remember, as the Bhagavad Gita teaches, consistency in action brings true transformation. Take that one small step today and stay committed. If you found this helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiration. Keep showing up, and success will follow. See you in the next video.